out the corner of my eye.
All right, we are here again with the Emerald Codex. My name is Dell. You can find me on Twitter at @TheWorkedShoot. And we are sitting here with Nelly. Nelly, say hi.
How's it going, guys?
And do you have a Twitter handle you'd like the people to follow you on?
I do. You can find me at Nelly McAwesome.
So we have a little bit of a treat here. This is again, as we always say, check with your local game and find out if this is going to be okay or not. But Nelly is actually a pro level Ravnos player. He loves the Ravnos and apparently is willing to talk with us about them for about 15 or 20 minutes.
We'll see if we can go that long.
So, real quick, just the are you getting enough oxygen question. What is the best thing about playing a Ravnos?
For me, the best thing about playing a Ravnos is it really gives you the opportunity for versatility. With chemistry and with that whole discipline spread, you get the option to kind of the sky's the limit. You have the ability to create kind of your wildest fantasies and vampire, and also even get into more fun in the world of darkness and find ways to exploit and play with people's deepest, darkest secrets.
What is a good archetype for your clan? And taken from the other direction, what's a boring and overdone, like every Toreador is, I'm an artist, blah, what's the worst Ravnos thing that's easy and the first thing people think of that they should obviously discard?
Well, it's weird because the answer for that is kind of both the same thing. It's really just in the execution. Ravnos are inherently criminals. That's their clan flaw. That's what they're known for. That's what they're big on. So having a Ravnos that's, I'm gonna steal things or I'm gonna murder people really it doesn't really add a whole lot of creativity. Some of my favorite Ravnos concepts have gotten into, their clan flaw, which is, a compulsion for, some sort of crime. My personal favorite one is, the one that I used was, planning and scaling and executing large-scale heists. So it was it's getting more into in depth of what that crime actually entails, rather than just going with something vanilla like I kill people or I steal people's wallets.
So, what is a good real life Ravnos? A real life example of a fictional famous character or a real life person who is, if the Ravnos were drafting real-life people into their clan, that you would pick?
Well, the first one that comes to mind for me would be any sort of magician like Houdini, even as much as I hate to say this, Chris Angel. People with the just crazy ability to create this random illusions that don't seem like they're believable, yet somehow they manage to make it happen. You could also go with D.B. Cooper, someone who is able to plan and execute a fantastic theft that still to this day has never been solved.
Really? Chris Angel and the Mind Freaks and the Street Magicians and Legerdemain?
Yeah, the Mind Freak one, I thought about this here for a little while, and the best way I can explain that is just, you watch that show, and I'm sure there are logical explanations for how things are done, but you just can't quite put your finger on it when you're watching it in the moment, and so it's just kind of that weird, surreal disbelief and kind of just what the fuck just happened.
So, who does your clan embrace from in canon, or if you had your druthers, who would your clan embrace from? Is there a target group, like an insane asylum is where Malks kind of predate on?
Well, with Ravnos, according to canon, they typically embrace from a family of gypsies, a particular family. Usually it's only males. A female embrace in Ravnos is particularly rare, but not unheard of. More modern days have kind of lent towards fantastic criminal minds. So you might see somebody from, like Brad Pitt from Ocean's 11, or George Clooney from Ocean's 11, Neil Caffrey from White Collar, things of that nature.
So they kind of do the thing that Nos do, where they find a human who's particularly skilled at something and then go, that's the one I want.
Yeah, and it's definitely, you have to show some sort of exemplary talent in that in order to be able to pull it off. You can't just be a guy knocking over 7-Elevens, although, that might be entertaining for a little while.
So, let's talk about your clan disciplines. You got 3 of them. What are they?
The typical Ravnos spread is animalism, fortitude, and chemistry.
That's kind of a weird, not direct spread. It doesn't seem to make a lot of sense on paper. You want to talk about which one is, obviously, we'll talk about chemistry last, but talk about animalism and fortitude. Should a Ravnos care about them, or is one of them, like with the Nos, they can basically ignore potence? Is there a ignorable discipline in the Ravnos spread?
Well, I think if you're going to ignore one, it would be animalism. I can understand why they put it in there. It's kind of the whole gang rule, Ravnos are cousins type of thing, and giving them that little tie. Ravnos are by nature, they're nomadic. They roam. They don't tend to stay in one place for very long. So having that option there in case you need to feed yourself in a hurry might be a good thing to have. But other than that, I really don't see much of a practical use for the modern-day Ravnos for animalism. Fortitude's always fantastic because in the particular line of work that a Ravnos is accustomed to dealing in, being independent, playing both sides of the field, you tend to take a beating from both sides, and it's nice to have that kind of fallback and that extra soak pool when you get your ass kicked.
All right, and the elephant in the room, Shim.
Chemistry is fantastic. I absolutely love chemistry. It's exceptionally versatile. It allows you to pretty much you have the world at your feet. I've seen people use it for things as simple as I stake you, and that's really kind of not a creative way to do that. Or you think you're on fire to provoke a rot strike. But there are so many other ways that you can use that to instill fear and terror in people, as well as get what you want. There's a particular combo discipline that I'm a real big fan of. It's Heart's Desire, I think is what it's called. It's Auspex 4 and Chemistry, I think 2, but you can use up to 4 in it, in which you go into someone's mind, find the object of their particular affection, the thing they want more than anything else in the world, and exploit that to gain some sort of leverage over them. And so I think that's a fantastic example of one of the different uses for chemistry. The other one is one that allows its presence and chemistry, and it allows you to put a particular effect of presence into a chemistry created object. So you could theoretically ward your haven with something that is imbued with the power of Dreadgaze.
You mentioned both Auspex and presence. What is the most prized out of clan discipline that every Ravnos player should be looking at and trying to learn post haste?
I think the best one that every Ravnos player should be looking for is probably going to be Auspex. Auspex is one of the only defenses that you have against chemistry, and when you're playing a Ravnos, there is always the potential to run into another Ravnos. Ravnos are very competitive in their own little world, their own little gypsy world, and so the ability to see through illusions and also sense when danger is coming is just infinitely handy to have around.
Okay. This isn't on the list of questions I sent you ahead of time, but I just want to spring this on you and ask, what special concerns or ideas should you go to the storytelling staff with if you get approved to play a Ravnos, and obviously they're not in the Camarilla, they're kind of on the edge? Are there any ideas or story hooks that you should be presenting the staff with for playing a Ravnos to get you involved in other stories? If I was playing a Nosferatu in a game that didn't have any, definitely I'd want to let the storytellers know that I was going to be building a Warrens and running around underground, and that if any, Ventru had industry or construction influences, that they would be aware of activities happening there, and sort of give the staff something about my character to let them develop stories and conflicts if you can't make up enough. Or are Ravnos so inherently antagonistic and distrusted by Camarilla vampires that you don't need any special considerations? You can just say, "Hi, I'm a Ravnos," and everybody will be at your throat instantly anyway.
Okay. Ravnos generally tend to carry that aura with them. They are a rare clan. They are largely distrusted. They're very, very handy. And you find that a lot of people really quick in a LARP setting will try and get a Ravnos under their thumb as quick as possible because of just that versatility and the lack of accountability. If a Ravnos screws something up that you have a hand in, all you have to do is point at that Ravnos and say this is their fault. You don't really have to build that in there per se.
Okay. So every Ventru needs to read How to Win Friends and Influence People. Is there any required reading for a Ravnos to really get in the mindset of a Ravnos? Any particular books or articles?
With a Ravnos, really the only thing I could suggest is reading any sort of like suspense, crime, mystery, things like that. Just something to kind of get yourself in the mood of thinking outside the box, expanding your mind. One of the things that I took a look at was actually was a couple of the movies. I looked at Ocean's 11, Ocean's 12, a couple of those different things, just to kind of get a feel for how an intellectual crime works, rather than running into a store, shooting someone, and then running off with a big bag of money. Kind of going in and getting your smart crime on.
Okay. So shifting a little bit to out-of-game concerns, let's talk a little bit about Ravnos costuming. They're pretty straightforward, it seems like. Do you want to talk a little bit about what it takes to dress the part?
Yeah, Ravnos are fairly straightforward. Keep in mind when you're creating the visual effect for your Ravnos, you're a criminal. You live a life of crime. So you've kind of got two main groups that you go in there. You're going to go large scale criminal, and you're going to have a nice dress coat, a nice tie, stuff like that. Really anything you can pick up like a Goodwill, you can usually find something cheap like that. Maybe a couple of extravagant pieces of jewelry just to kind of set up everything and round it out. Or you could also go for what I like to call the Miami look. So you've got the loose silk shirt, you got the jewelry going on. And that really kind of plays more towards the gypsy side of the Ravnos, kind of your blue collar crime.
Yeah, and you can find big gaudy costume jewelry at any costume shop.
Oh yeah.
Should you have lots of props or things on hand? Should you be carrying around a box full of fake jewelry?
It's definitely something. It would really largely come down to what your concept is. If you've got a character who's into swindling people with fake jewelry or something like that, using chemistry to make it look more real and extravagant than it actually is, that might definitely be something to come up with. But ultimately, kind of, I suppose the motto with the Ravnos is the sky's the limit. Really, just whatever fits your character. There's no limits to what you can create.
Okay. Talk about your clan flaw a little bit. We mentioned it kind of in passing, but what is it, rules as written? What is the Ravnos clan flaw?
So the Ravnos clan flaw, as the rules written, is it's a particular compulsion towards some sort of crime. So it could be something as harmless as cheating at cards, or it could be something as intricate as planning large-scale heists and execution. So it really just kind of goes back to what you've set up for your character, what you've created for that. And kind of just working with that. It requires a willpower roll to ignore that. So if you're presented with a situation in which you would partake in your compulsion, it requires a willpower check to negate.
Okay. And do you have any other suggestions or ideas for people who are thinking about, like, if you're saying, "Oh, Ravnos, that sounds fun," any suggestions for people to go to the STs with before they present, saying, "I want to be a Ravnos"? Well, why? What are some ideas or pitches that you can help wannabe Ravnos players to pitch it more effectively?
If you're going to pitch a Ravnos concept, the best advice I can give to anybody out there is detail, detail, detail. My original Ravnos pitch was 4 pages long. It was reviewed by 5 or 6 different people. I had the first couple of literaries all planned out for it. I had done extensive research kind of on how I wanted that to go. So really just detail is where you want to go with it. Have a very cleared out way of how you want to do things, how you want your character to react, past history, all that stuff needs to be just expertly laid out before you even send that first pitch in.
All right. Awesome. Well, again, my name is Del. You can find me on Twitter at TheWorkedShoot, and I was talking today with Nelly.
And you can find me on Twitter at Nelly McAwesome.
Again, thank you for listening to us on the Emerald Codex Clan Ravnos, and hopefully we will be listened to by you again in the future. Thanks, everybody.
There ain't no